2 of the 2017 Audi MLS Cup playoffs. It all begins here on MLS Playoff Central, the pregame show presented by Audi. Last night, guys, lopsided games galore. 9 goals for the teams that won, 0 for those against. It was a night that we did not see the drama that we've become accustomed to here in these knockout rounds. I am Andrew Wiebe, of course, with my friends in soccer, Kalen Carr, you know him from MLSsoccer.com, and The Movement, Matt, the armchair analyst Doyle. No cat picks tonight. We will not drag you through the mud. And, of course, Marlon Harrison, the pride of Jackson, Mississippi. You see him on the right side for the Colorado Rapids doing his thing. They almost got the Supporters' Shield last year. They had playoff chops. Maybe going to go back there next year. But, Marlon, unfortunately, you're sitting here with us. And, unfortunately, tonight's the last night we got you, man. It kills me, but I want to know what your wish is. Make a wish for tonight. What do we want to see? Dream big, man.
I think my wish tonight would be for one of these games to go into overtime. So possibly we could see that new fourth substitution rule come into play.
I want to see that first game go to overtime, guys. I do not want to be up too late. I was pounding coffee last night to get through the post-game show. Atlanta-Columbus gets us started tonight. That game on ESPN2 here in the U.S. Unimas, if Spanish is your thing, they have the SAP button you can utilize as well. And then up there in Canada, TSN and TVA Sports. What a game to start, and then the nightcap, an old rivalry that this guy right here was a part of back in the day. Houston sporting Kansas City. That one's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Unimas, SAP as well, and TSN and TVA Sports are where you go. And, of course, MLS Playoff Central is your home for the pre- and post-game shows throughout the playoffs. Every single game night, we will be right here, and we want you to be a part. So hit us up on the Hot Take Hotline. Let us know what you think, and tune in after the game at 11:30 p.m. as we break it all down and set up the conference semifinals. Let's get right into it, guys. Let's start with the nightcap, and let's hit the Houston Dynamo first. They're hosting this game because they got hot late in the regular season. They knew what the stakes were. They knew how good they were at home. They knew how bad they were on the road. This is a huge game for that franchise, but it's especially big, Kalen, because it's been a long time since they've been here. And, oh, by the way, it just so happens that you were on the last Dynamo playoff team back in 2013.
Yeah, it's been a minute, and to see Houston sporting all is right in the world.
I was going to say, yeah. It's like, where's the helmet, man? Get it back on. Dust that thing off.
We're not ready. We're going to leave the helmet at home for today. But I think that when we look at rivalries in this league, of course, New York Derby stands out, Portland, Seattle, Cali Classico. This is the best one in the playoffs. You know, those have bold. Those have regular season implications, but over each of the last 6 postseason meetings, between these teams since 2007 has led with the winning team going to MLS Cup.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that core from Sporting Kansas City that's still involved, like Matt Beasler, Benny Feilhaber, Seth Sinovic, Graham Zusi, of course. Not as much of it from Houston. Ricardo Clark's still there, I think Boniek and Tyler Derrick. But there is institutional memory. These teams still do not like each other, and that tends to make for good playoff.
Back in the Western Conference now, though.
By the way, it's turnover. Dom Kinnear, those days are gone. He's now an assistant in L.A. Marlon, you've seen up close this team transition, change coaches, switch things up. Wilmer Cabrera comes in and he says, I'm going young, and I'm going attacking. What did you see this year from the Dynamo?
Yeah, and it's worked. It's worked all season for them, especially, their front group of guys have been able to score tons of goals this year. And, the system that Wilmer brought into this team, it worked tremendously. And I'm interested to see how they'll do tonight against Kansas City.
They'll do it at home. They are very, very good at home. They are the worst team in the playoffs on the road. So it is very fortunate for them that they took the last month of the season very seriously. Sporting KC on the other side, not so good on the road. You were the only team, the Rapids, to knock off Houston at home. What did you see in that game? How did you pull this result off?
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to go down on the road and get our first result of the season at the time. We had a couple games on the road where we were, this close to maybe pulling out a good result, but we were able to go down there. We had a tactic. Tried to sit back as much as we could and try to get on the break if we were possibly able to maybe get a goal late, and Dominique Baji scored a great goal.
Yep, you do not want to give them the counterattack. That's the last thing you want to see is Albert Elise, Romo Kyoto, maybe Mara Manotas running down your throat, Doyle. They've built a new identity, and they've built it around this, but they've also been back and forth with the lineup. Let's check that out now. Explain to me, what is Wilmer going to do with these 11 guys? What is his what's his direction?
I still don't know. And here we are in October, and we're not sure exactly what the best 11 is, but this is what I'm going with because I think this team, especially in central midfield, they have 3 guys who can win the ball and end up springing those wingers. And you have to watch those diagonals to the wings because it's like a coiled spring with the way Houston play. They want to sit deep, compact, and then get those guys out on the run. And nobody in the league is catching Albert Elise or Romo Kyoto or Moron Manotas when they're out on the run. But watch that right back spot. No AJ Del Garza is big.
Yeah, huge. He had the ACL injury in the prior game. You see him on social media icing his knee. That is a huge blow. He's a leader for this team. He's a guy that brings them all together, and he has so much experience in the MLS Cup playoffs. Our own Mackenzie Thurkill is out in Houston. Let's go to her now.
The Houston Dynamo and Sporting Kansas City are 2 teams that are very familiar with each other, having played a home-and-home series just 2.5 weeks ago. Though the Houston Dynamo walked away from that series with 4 points, head coach Wilmer Cabrera says that it doesn't matter because every time they've played Sporting, each match has gotten tougher and tougher, and tonight will be no exception. The one advantage they do have, however, is playing here at BBVA Compass Stadium in front of the home crowd, where they've only lost once the entire 2017 season. On the other side, you have Sporting Kansas City, who have stumbled in recent weeks, posting an 0-3-2 record, and they also haven't performed very well on the road. But despite all that, by the numbers, Sporting is one of the best teams defensively in the entire league. And as we all know, anything can happen in playoffs, and even Ilie said that it doesn't matter how good you were before, referring to the Dynamo, everything can change in postseason.
I think Kansas City have a right to believe that they've been overlooked in this game. They're the Open Cup winners this year. They do have the best defense by the numbers in the league, although they won't have Tim Melia in this game. Their goalkeeper. The goalkeeper, I think, is the most underrated player in MLS and probably the MLS goalkeeper of the year, guys. So they have a trophy. So part of this season is already a little bit of a success. But 3 straight years they've gone to the knockout round on the road. 3 straight years they've fallen out after the first game. This after the 2013 MLS Cup. Matt Beasler calls them a tournament team. Mm-hmm. What do you make of that?
Well, it's easier to be a tournament team when you're playing most of your games at home than when you're having to go on the road. And again, we've seen that each of the last couple of years. No, Tim Melia is huge in this one because I don't think Sporting have the firepower to go out there and get a 3-2 or even a 2-1 win. They haven't been able to generate goals that I think in the past maybe they could have gotten some off of set pieces. This team doesn't really do that. This is problematic for Sporting KC. There's no way around it. They are heavy underdogs in this game.
Tim Melia out. We see him suffering from that injury. We'll have to see if he comes back. The hamstring is not something that heals quickly. Kaylin, this narrative with the team, though, is not really about the goalkeeper. It's not really about the defense. It's about the attack. As Doyle mentioned, Peter Vermees says they're still creating chances in the same numbers that they were before, but you trade Dom Dwyer in the middle of the season, the guy who led you to that 2013 MLS Cup, and you bring in Diego Rubio. So far, it's been a mixed bag for them, especially on the road.
I think it's been working for them, to be honest. I mean, first of all, we should also mention they got $1.6 million in allocation for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a decent chunk of change.
And they've also, Diego Rubio has got 6 goals. Gerso has 8 this year. Shallowy has stepped in. He's a really nice player. I like his movement. Very dynamic in the attack. So they've been able to find a way. The real problems have actually been in the back as of late. They've been giving up soft goals. Iko Para and Matt Beasler have had a little bit of miscommunications here and there. That's uncharacteristic. I think that's more indicative of how important Tim Melia is to this team. But on the attacking side, I haven't seen a big drop-off.
I'm going to put some caveats out there. I did my research here, Kevin. Diego Rubio, 1 goal on the road this year. That was at Minnesota. Diego Rubio, 0 goals against playoff teams.
Yeah.
So that's an issue.
I'm not
that's an
convinced
issue.
about
2-8-7 on the road are Sporting Kansas City. By the way, Gerso, 2 goals, no assists since June 11th. Latif Blessing, just 3 goals in 25 games.
Do you just spend all day researching poor Sporting Kansas City?
Yeah, you know what? I just have it all running through my head. But look, chance creation can be an issue for them. But they made a gambit this year. Peter Vermees did. He moved Graham Zusi to right back, and that has really been the source of both misery and joy for this team. Doyle, Kaylin, go to the board. Show me what Zusi has done at right back. This is a U.S. national team player who had to make a transition. That cannot be easy for a player his caliber.
Yeah, as you said, it's a transition year for him. He has learned right back, I think, pretty well. But there are still some rough moments, particularly in terms of communication. And what we're going to see right here is that he's got Roland Lamont on lock. He is not in the wrong spot here, but he gets pulled inside a little bit, and bad stuff can then happen at the back post.
Well, it's too late for him to pass along here, so he's got to stick with them. This communication actually needs to happen between these two much earlier. And you see here, needs to make this run to the back post. There needs to be a sense of urgency from Gerso. It doesn't come. Graham needs to hold his outside midfielder more accountable here because this is what happens.
Yeah, and that is just part of the learning curve, and that is also a vicious dunk at the back post. Here is another little issue that I have with Graham Zusi. I think he can be hesitant to come down and cut down angles on service from the flank. And this one, I mean, you know exactly where it's going to go. Solyanek sees that the run that Akam is making. Zusi does not cut out close enough to put any pressure on the delivery. It hasn't been a big problem. I looked through a million plays this year. You can't find a lot of stuff that's solely on Graham Zusi. But the communication is a little bit slower than I think it has been in the past. However, it's worth it because of what he does on the overlap. And this is Zusi right here getting forward. And Sporting Kansas City are about to flood the box.
Well, let's make no mistake. This is why he's moved to right back and why he's been successful, why he's been called into the national team. It's what he brings to you in the attack. And here you go. You can roll it forward a little bit, Matt. He finds that space in behind, getting way forward into the box. And then let me get a couple arrows here. You see all the action is going towards the goal. All the attention is looking towards the goal. And what does Graham do? Great presence of mind to cut it back across the grain to the penalty spot for the easy finish.
Yeah, those are his attacking chops. There are not a lot of teams in MLS that have that kind of attacking presence. From right back, SKC, they have it. If they're going to win tonight, I think he has to be big.
Yeah, we saw the fullbacks be a big point of emphasis last night. From a tactical perspective, will it be tonight? We'll have to wait and see. Graham Zusi, such an important player for Sporting Kansas City, but the road has not been kind to them in the playoffs. By the way, we know the numbers. We can repeat them over and over, but it always bears repeating. 4 of 18 now teams, road teams in the knockout round, have advanced. So the odds are against Sporting Kansas City, Marlon. Make a case for them. Why do Kansas City win this game?
I really like this Kansas City team, man. And a couple times that we played them this year, you know, they open us up. Their fullbacks get high into the attack. You know, they all trust each other. They leave 2 center backs, and Ilie does a lot of work for them. So when they flood numbers forward, they create a lot of chances going forward. And I like Kansas City in this game.
All right, you got them with a win
Yep.
in the dub?
Yeah, I take Kansas City with the win.
Okay, he's got the win. Kaylin, make a case for your Houston Dynamo. Are they your Houston Dynamo? Can we say that accurately?
Always. Forever orange,
Okay.
Andrew. Come on, man. Well, I saw it 2 weeks ago. They played a home and away leg against Sporting Kansas City. That's really why they ended up with this home game. They were able to show that this team isn't just about talent. They have some toughness to them. They stuck up for themselves, really rallied around each other, and put together a gutsy performance. You know about Elise, you know about Kyoto going forward, but it was really the spine of the team with Ricardo Clark and these guys mixing up in the midfield that convinced me this team was ready for the playoffs.
So Houston.
I've
All
got
right,
Houston,
we have
yes.
1-1. Doyle, are you splitting this? Where are you
I'll
going?
be forever orange as well. I think
Oh,
Houston-
Dynamo. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
They just have too many attacking weapons, and they have a difference maker they could bring off the bench in Vicente Sanchez, and what he's done over the last couple of months at his age. I mean, he's almost as old as me. Man should be retired, and he's out there winning games. So I think they figure out a way to get it done 2-1.
I have Chinte getting an assist tonight. Of course, I am Weebstradamus.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
knocked everything down last
my
night,
goodness.
so go check Andrew_Weeby on Twitter for that one. We'll get you my picks in just a little bit. I'm going to go with Houston as well, guys. Of course, the first game of the night, I think the one that everyone is salivating over, Atlanta United against Crew SC. Oh boy, Mercedes-Benz Stadium is going to be jam-packed. They opened the whole thing up, guys. Atlanta United has set 2 single-game records this season for attendance. More than 70,000 expected for this one. A huge match in the brief history of their franchise. What they've done this year, Marlon, has been special. Everybody has watched from afar and said, wow, what an entrance. What do players make of it?
They exceeded expectations. You know, Atlanta, they've turned a lot of heads coming into the season this year. Not only just winning games, but their fan base that they've gotten there has been unbelievable. And for me, they've been one of the best teams for me to play against and watch.
You must get amped in front of a crowd like that, 70,000 people raining down on you. I imagine it jacked up even higher than you are.
Had to be like Seattle last year, no?
Yeah, the adrenaline was flying for sure going into that game. You know, we were there playing on the first field that they had coming into the league, so it was a tight field. You know, the fans were loud; they were right on top of you. But seeing this new Mercedes-Benz Stadium is unbelievable.
Do you have some Jackson in the house for that Atlanta game?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends in there.
Let's
Central
check out that
Jackson.
11.
Shout out to Central Jackson.
You got to get Jackson. Go check out that movement episode, by the way. It is really good stuff. Let's check out the Atlanta 11 because there is big news. Their captain is not in the lineup. Michael Parkhurst, you saw him limp off against Toronto FC. He is not there. Jeff Aronowitz, Big Red, filling in his place. You see Gressel and Carmona in the midfield. And, of course, Almiron back, his first start since September 24th. The four horsemen are together again. Doyle, this is, if not the most explosive attack in the league, right there. And all these guys are 24 and under. It's just so fun to watch.
They invested in youth and they invested in quality more than anything else, and it's paid off on the field. And I think it got the fans excited in a way that maybe some of the other types of stars that have been brought in the past don't. Like, as great as David Villa is, everyone knows he's nearing the end of his career. These guys are just starting the great part of their career, and they have played like it, all four of them.
And Almiron, Kalen, thank God he's back. I got people on Twitter asking me, who's the guy do I watch tonight? Miguel Almiron.
Well, you don't need to know his name to see him stand out in the field. You know, if you had never watched an MLS game before tonight and you just turn on a match, you would recognize his play and ask who that guy is. I think he's really changed the model as far as how you build a franchise. Instead of going for a name, you go for a player or a style of play, and I think Atlanta has really changed the way new expansion teams will come into the league.
It makes me think of Seattle back in 2009 when they brought Freddie Montero in. Atlanta brought in 4 Freddie Monteros. That's a pretty good way to start a franchise, and they're reaping the rewards, and they'll have 70,000 people there tonight.
So somebody going under the radar here, we're talking about Joseph Martinez all the time. We're talking about Miguel Almiron. Sure, yes. Yamil Asad is great as well, but I think Tito Villalba is the guy that is not getting enough love. I want you guys to go to the board and help break him down. But first, let's get to that Audi Player Index spotlight for tonight. It is Tito Villalba, Hector Villalba. He is a player that wrecks the crew, as you see there, a single-man wrecking crew. 2 games against Crew SC this year, 3 goals. Audi Player Index scores through the roof. Even with that Almiron, he was very, very productive. Without Joseph Martinez, he went up top and scored some goals. Matt, Kalen, walk me through this. What makes him special? What makes Atlanta special?
Against Atlanta United, you have to do the simple things right because they're going to do the simple things right. And the simple thing right here is for Hector Villalba to deny the back pass to Jonathan Mensah. Instead, they force a square ball across the back line from a fullback to a center back. Kalen, for the 5 stripes, that is a pressing trigger.
It is, and it also is a signal. They'll keep an eye on this guy first and foremost. Will Trapp there. Almiron has this covered, and Yamil Asad is in a great position here. He's already jumped this lane. And you see from there, they really trap them well.
Yeah, they don't give Josh Williams much room to play with, and they have him bracketed. And once that happens, he is in a whole lot of trouble. And once this happens, you know what Mr. Villalba does.
Well, we talk so much about this team being dynamic in the attack, but this is how dynamic they are in the defense.
Yeah, nobody in the league is as good at turning defense into goals as Atlanta United, and they don't need to just do it in the final third. They could do it in open field. This is what I would consider Kalen Carr-esque speed from Tito Villalba.
This is just simple. You don't want to see Almiron in that soft spot. I wish I had this Villalba-esque finishing ability.
Yeah, he's a killer when he gets in front of goal. He's been a lot of fun to watch this year. They've been a lot of fun to watch this year. Atlanta United, folks, they're a handful.
Yeah, look, it's all about the attack. That's what we like to talk about. I get it. They're explosive, but remember that defense is 4th in MLS as well. Just 40 goals allowed this season. We'll have to see what happens without Michael Parkhurst. Our own Susanna Collins is down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium with Anton Walks. Susanna, what's up?
Thanks, guys. All right, Anton. Atlanta United has been one of the best storylines of this MLS season. Your first season, a new stadium, you're breaking attendance records, but now it's your first playoff game. How does the mentality switch from regular season now that you're entering the postseason?
Well, this is what the build-up's been all about, so to finally be here, we just got to go out here in front of our home crowd and show everyone else what we're about and get the win.
You're coming up against a Columbus team that's been red hot. They are unbeaten in their last 10 games with guys like Ola Kamara and Justin Miram, Federico Higuain. What do you guys have to do from a defensive standpoint to maintain that attack?
We just got to make sure we keep them quiet. You know, they're going to come here and we're not going to give them an easy game. So if we can isolate their threats and go and dominate with our attacking lineup, then we'll be perfect.
they're anticipating 60,000 plus fans here tonight. I know how much these fans have meant to you guys. How much will you draw on them tonight to give you guys the momentum?
Well, you know, crazy things can happen in a game. We could lose the lead. You know, there could be mistakes, but we know in here the fans are with us until the final whistle and beyond that. So having them is always going to motivate us even more.
Best of luck tonight, Anton. Thanks so much.
Much appreciated.
Guys.
Expectations sky high for Atlanta United in their expansion season. I think this is kind of like the Fire last night, guys. Just being in the knockout round is not good enough. We didn't mention Joseph Martinez. 19 goals. He set the MLS record for goals per 90 this season with 1.12. He is definitely a player to watch. And, of course, Crew SC have plenty of weapons as well. Greg Berhalter's lineup is absolutely full of them. His attacking four here is as good as any in the league. Justin Miram, Ola Kamara, Pipa Higuain, and Pedro Santos. But, Kaylin, it's Trapp and Artur that really are going to have the pressure on them. Those guys have got to stem the tide. Atlanta's going to try to run right down their throats.
Well, we looked a little bit with Matt at the board as trying to break pressure because you don't want to play through these two center backs here. So what they're going to have to do is Will Trapp often drops back a little bit as a quarterback really to break pressure, but they need to get through that first line of it to be able to get to guys like Pipa and Justin Miram. But if they don't, I think they need to be a little pragmatic and look to play long if they have to.
And we've seen them do that in the playoffs before. In 2015 against the Red Bulls, they didn't bother with all the pretty stuff.
Which was a shock, by the way.
It was, yeah.
And then in MLS Cup, dare I say.
Yeah, and they didn't bother with all the pretty stuff they usually do. They just said, okay, we're going to just hit long diagonals and get those wingers into 1v1 situations. And it worked. I like Justin Miram's chances 1v1 against Anton Walks, and especially Jeff Lorenowitz, who has been great in central midfield this year, but he's not a center back. So that is a place where I expect to see the Crew try to do some damage.
Here you see Crew SC warming up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They do so, Marlon, with a distraction. I don't think that anybody would deny this. The news coming out of the city from Anthony Precourt, the owner of the club, that he's considering moving. He's considering Austin, Texas as a possible relocation spot. Of course, he'd like to stay in Columbus, he says, but with the downtown stadium, hashtag Save the Crew has been making the rounds on Twitter for the better part of a week. Their fans are all about this. Their players on the other side are in a difficult position here. They're the hottest team in MLS. They haven't lost in 10 games, and now they got this hanging over their head. How much will it affect them?
Well, if you're with the Columbus Crew, you just have to remember what got you to this point in the season. This is what they worked hard for all season, and for something like this to come up can be a bit of a distraction, but for them, they just need to leave that in behind the scenes and go out there and put forward a good performance.
I'm just getting nostalgic looking back at these highlights a little bit.
Anytime I get GBS highlights, I'm pleased.
Moreno, McBride, Haydick. This is a tough one, and you saw Will Trapp, of course, the Columbus native. He had a statement coming out that was
right here.
Pretty serious. Yeah, the league doesn't want us to beat Atlanta in Atlanta. That's our motivation.
Oh, I mean, he's going deep. Yeah.
Statement.
Well, in a way, if you're in that locker room right now, you're like, oh, broadcasters, the league, everybody is talking about Atlanta and wants to see Atlanta go to the final. And if you're in that locker room, how does that make you feel? All the stuff swirling around them. I think this is something that could really bring them together. The spirit of the city behind them, and Will Trapp is from there.
I think a lot of neutrals are probably rooting for Crew SC in this one because, like you said, Atlanta is an amazing story, an amazing stadium, and all of that. But there's a lot of sympathy for, I think, what the players and especially the fans of this franchise are going through.
By the way, Crew SC don't need no sympathy. This is a good team. This is a team with quality that's gotten results, that have done it before in the playoffs. Will Trapp is standing by with Susanna Collins.
All right, thanks, guys. Will, 6-0-4 in your last 10 games. You guys have been one of the hottest teams in the league. Right now, you are playing in front of a crazy hometown crowd in Atlanta. What's going to be the key for you guys to keep momentum on your side?
The biggest thing is our teamwork, right? It's going to be an adverse environment. We have to stick together and play together.
Defensively, I mean, when you look at that attack with guys like Almiron and Josef Martinez, from a defensive standpoint, how do you stop that attack?
It's all about transition for them, slowing them down, gang defending, and then in the penalty box being strong.
Some off-field distractions, obviously, with the potential move. What's the mood like in the locker room right now? How has this kind of banded you guys together?
You wouldn't know. Team's here. We're ready to go. We're focused.
All right. Thanks, Will. Good luck tonight. Guys.
Will Trapp keeping it short. He is focused on the game at hand. 7 p.m. It's just 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry, ESPN2 Atlanta Columbus Crew SC. You can catch it on Unimas as well, TVA Sports TSN in Canada. This is all about one thing, though, guys. The Philip F. Anschutz Trophy. Everybody wants MLS Cup. Everybody wants to be the team that is standing on December 9th, hoisting that thing in the air. The bracket is shaken out. After tonight, we will know the conference semifinals. Wondering how yours is doing, go make sure you check it out, MLS Bracket Challenge. Let's take a look now at what we've got set up. You see in the Western Conference, Cascadia matchup, Seattle, Vancouver, Portland, meanwhile, waiting for that nightcap to see who Houston and Sporting KC will come through. Then the other side, Toronto, Red Bulls, and then NYCFC waiting for Atlanta or Columbus Crew SC. Patrick Vieira, speaking about these two possible opponents today, said, look, Atlanta, 1v1, dynamic. They get at you. They're strong. They're physical. On the other side, Crew SC, maybe not quite that. Maybe more organized, play a beautiful style of play, can get it done collectively. Does the collective side win out here? Make me a case for Crew SC.
Well, last week we saw how good they are on the road. They went to NYCFC on decision day, drew 2-2 in that one. I thought we're the better team on the day, actually. They've been unbeaten in their last 10. No one's talking about them in the playoffs. Everybody, except for the distractions going on around the team. That said,
where's the pause? Where's that and wait?
Atlanta United, Almiron back healthy, played the last 30 in the last match. Too much firepower, too much support at home. I'm picking Atlanta.
So too much firepower, too much support at home. I don't think I have to ask you guys to make the case. I just want your predictions. Marlon, where are you going with this one, man?
Yeah, I agree with Kayla. Atlanta's, they have a fierce attack, and if you have four guys that like to score goals like that, you have every reason to believe that they're going to win this game. So I'm going to pick Atlanta to win.
You played Atlanta and Toronto this year. I want to know who you think is better.
Oh, yeah, those teams are similar, man. They both want to have a lot of the ball. They both push a lot of numbers into the attack. But I think Atlanta is Eastern Conference bound for sure.
Yeah. We're going to say goodbye to Marlon after tonight. Remember, we'll be here at 11:30 p.m. or so with the post-game show. But Atlanta, Toronto FC fans, you cannot be happy about that. Get at them. Matt Doyle, we have 2 Atlantas, and you have what?
3 Atlantas.
Okay.
And I think it'll be closer. An hour ago, I would have told you it was going to be a blowout, but I think losing Parkhurst and having to push Lorenowitz into central defense means that Trapp and Artur will have more time on the ball, and I think that's going to cause some problems for the Five Stripes, but I just don't think the Crew have enough in that back line to slow down the 4 horsemen of Atlanta's apocalypse, man.
Look, I mentioned preseason predictions on Extra Time Radio the other day. I did so because I embarrassed myself because I picked Jonathan Mensah as my defender of the year. That prediction didn't work out, but I am Weebsterdamus. I got everything right last night. You can see my prediction here for tonight. I'm thinking Assad goal and assist. I think those other 3 take the attention away on the back stick. He pops up. And then I think Manotas and Elise get it as well. So Chente and assist. It's going to be a good night for the Houston Dynamo and Atlanta. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Hang out with us. Talk with us on Twitter. 401-206 is the Hot Take Hotline. Before we get out of here, guys, the one thing that you're looking for tonight, the one thing that makes you most excited about this second night of 2017 Audi MLS Cup playoff action. Doyle, start with you.
Joseph Martinez, man. I love Joseph Martinez so freaking much. He makes that hard run that splits the central defenders every time. I just love good sound forwards who do that.
He is explosive. Unfortunately, you guys saw that. I don't want to revisit that game with you, Marlon. What are you looking for tonight? When you're sitting down watching the games, you're hoping for what? Which guy gets you going? Which team gets you going?
I'm looking forward to seeing this Atlanta team play, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the energy inside of that stadium, their first playoff game in the MLS. So I think it's going to be a fun night for them.
And Kaylin, you mentioned it. Everybody's talking about Atlanta. Nobody wants to talk about Crew SC.
You know what I want to talk about?
Yeah, what?
Today is the Boniak twins' birthday.
Oh.
Shout out to the Boniak twins, the cutest kids in MLS. No, I think what I'm most looking forward to is actually to see how Crew SC does. I think I picked against them, but I think they may have something up their sleeve. I would like to see them their response tonight.
I'm going to go with the nightcap. Look, I remember the games that you played in, KC, Houston. They were beat downs. They were not beautiful soccer, and I have a feeling tonight we're going to go back to that a little bit. And I think Sporting Kansas City.
You two always talk about them not being beautiful
they
soccer.
They weren't. You guys, you mucked it up.
2012, Houston Dynamo led the league in possession. Look it up.
That was a good team. But
Look it up.
Yeah, in
Look
the
it up.
playoffs, you guys went out there with axe handles and billy clubs and just beat each other.
But that's what the playoffs are about. That is why I'm excited to watch these
Playoff
two teams.
hockey,
they
folks.
get after it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get after it.
I want to see these two teams try to find something in each other, because on Sporting KC's side, they haven't got it done for the last 3 years. On the Houston Dynamo side, they're trying to start something new, and these young guys got to prove, like you said, that they're not just talented, they're tough. They got playoff chops. Of course, the games coming up right now, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Atlanta United, Crew SC from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It's going to be an incredible game. ESPN2, Unimas, TSN4, and TVS. Of course, the crowd is going to play a huge role in this one. 70,000 plus expected for this game. Then the nightcap, Houston Sporting Kansas City at 9:30 on Unimas, SAP, if you need it, TSN, TVA in Canada. These fans, the Five Stripes, are going to be all about it. And remember, we'll be back 11:30 p.m. or whenever that second match ends. We'll see if it goes to extra time and penalty kicks. Should be a fun night of playoff soccer. Should be a fun night for you to take in. We hope to see you on the other side, everybody. Make sure you call the Hot Take Hotline. Call or text 401-206-0MLS. With that, enjoy the soccer. Enjoy the night, everybody. We'll see you in a little bit.